Alright, so now let's go ahead and start putting our hardware on top of the chassis. I will start with the breadboard, which, remember, the breadboard, you can peel off the little yellow piece of paper in the back, and you should have essentially a sticker on the back of your breadboard. I would like you to place that front row center on the chassis. The reason for this is it gives us a good spot to put our ultrasonic sensor so that it can stare straight out of the chassis. Makes that much easier. Next is the Noggin, or the Arduino board, whatever it is you're using. And there are two ways I like to do this. So one of them would be with this kind of foam tape. So it's like double-sided foam tape. Stick, a piece or two on the back here, and then stick the Noggin with the barrel jack pointing out the back onto the chassis. You can also do this probably with double-sided tape. That will probably also work. The other way that we often do in class is to use zip ties. So you can see that there are several little holes on the chassis, and we go ahead and use those to our advantage. So I will typically put a zip tie through this hole, and then through this sort of diagonal in the chassis. And then I'll just mirror that on the other side. So I'll stick back through like that. And then this side should go through this hole right here. At least that's the plan. All right. Let's see if I can put this through anymore. There we go. And then go ahead and come across here like this. Give you a better view, I hope. What's going on? And of course, continually tighten it as much as I can. I'm just going to leave it like so, not super tight for this demonstration, but you get the idea. And then the next two, conveniently, because I'm not using either of these for motors, I can fasten the front of the Noggin in the following way. Now this one I probably will tighten all the way just to show you what to expect, because typically once you do this, you'll get this sort of thing where your Noggin looks pretty lopsided on your racer. And I get the kids, all the time telling me like, Eric, it looks ugly, it's not even. And you just gotta tell them to be patient and to finish putting things together, and that should take care of itself. Getting the other side here now. Alright. Alright, so right now it looks pretty uneven, but if I just tighten the two of them as best I can, I really mitigate that uneven, wonky look. So this is what I have so far. And the only thing left to worry about is the battery. Now there's not a whole lot of convenient places to put the battery. You could put on the back here like this. You could put it in between your motors like so. Or you could put it roughly about here. Now there's downsides to all of these. Here, although it's very far back on the robot, it's not low on the robot, so you're still dealing with some weight distribution issues here. All in all, I don't think those are that strong. They're not that large of a problem. So if you want to put your battery here, I guess that's okay. Putting it here has the most obvious problems in that as we try to calibrate our motors, which we will talk about in a later video, or an earlier video, depending on how you're jumping through the curriculum. But remember that we need to be able to access the continuous servos like so. And so putting the battery here really hampers our ability to do that. Even though this is, if we're talking about weight distribution, probably the best place to put the 9-volt battery. It really helps balance out the robot and make it heavier in the back and underneath so that it doesn't tip over at all. The one I typically use is this one. So from here you would still be able to wrap this around and get to the barrel jack. Don't worry, all of these have that distance between the 9-volt and the barrel jack in mind, and you can reach it regardless of which of these three options you choose. For this one, the main concern I have is the 9-volt, if it's too far up, affects the range of motion of this wheel. So you need to be very careful about that as you're putting it there. Also, the weight distribution is not quite as good. You're putting weight a little closer to the front and making that tipping problem more apparent. But once you have this on, wherever you decide to put your 9-volt battery, you are finished with the build of your robot.